Well, hello, my friend. It's me, Stu, here for you. And oh my goodness, have we got a doozy of a little time together. I want to talk to you about what is possible when you get out of your head and, most importantly, you get into taking action. So often, I think you and we underestimate what is possible for not only ourselves, but for our business and ultimately our lives. When we get out of our own way and we just start taking the next right step. And we may not always be clear on exactly what it is that we want. Like, I'll just give you a quick example. I went to university and graduated with my honors business degree. And pretty much every single one of my peers, including myself, were being trained to go into the corporate world and become essentially managers and executives, et cetera, et cetera. And I even, went as far as signing on the dotted line and joining a big name company up here in Canada. My parents were so proud. It was everything that a parent would want for their child. It was a great job, it was great benefits and company car and all those things. And yet I knew instinctively that that was not the right path for me. I didn't know exactly what was the right path, but I knew that wasn't the right path. And what's interesting about it is, like, when I reflect back on it and I think back to, like, that decision that I made to not go into the corporate world. Like, I had already signed I was scheduled to start 4 months after I graduated. And in that 4 months, I realized that was not the direction that I wanted to go. But there's no way I would have ever known that I would have landed here with you right now in the business that we have, being able to serve tens of thousands of entrepreneurs, create more stability in their business with recurring revenue and memberships. There's no way I would have been able to figure that out. There's no way I would have had that clarity. There's no way I would have known that it would have led to where we are today. And so the reason I share this is because there's going to be a time when you don't know all that may happen. But the most important thing is that you and I take that first step, that we get going, because the clarity will come through taking action. And what I want to talk to you about here today is, like, there are so many great examples of people in our community who, and I'm looking over here because I want to, I've got a bunch I want to share with you. And by the PS, we got some special guests today too. But there are so many great examples of people who didn't have the intention of creating a big business. They just got going. And ultimately in that, it has led to more than they could have imagined when they started. And the vision continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger the more they continue to lean into that. So I'm going to bring up here in just a second, Brittany, who can speak to this. And my hope in sharing some of these stories is just that wherever you are right now in your business, the most important thing I want to encourage you to do is to begin moving forward in some direction. The worst thing that you and I can do is just sit on the fence and wait and not move forward in any direction. But the best thing that you and I can do, even if the decision that we make is not the right decision, we've gained clarity about which direction we should ultimately go. And I obviously am a huge proponent and believer in membership sites. And I think in these stories that you'll hear, you'll begin to realize just what is possible once you get into action. So let me bring up Brittany here. Brittany,
hey, how are you?
I'm great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you give everybody a little bit of background about who it is that you serve?
Yes. So I serve fourth and fifth grade math teachers. I was a math teacher and I love all things math. I'm a 100% a math nerd.
That's amazing. Okay, so your background is as a math teacher.
Yes.
Okay, so walk us through now. What does your business look like today?
Yeah. So it's just crazy. Nothing that I ever would have thought it looked like going into school as an elementary ed major. And I quit teaching to stay home with my son and didn't really know how I was going to make ends meet because my husband's at the time he was a teacher. Now he's an elementary school principal, but thought I was going to tutor. And then I had this random idea to start a membership because of your trainings, I guess in 2019. And now our membership is the core of our business.
Okay, so this was not something that you quit teaching with the intention of starting a membership business. It was something that you explored. It was an idea that you explored. So take me back to that moment. Like you hear about the concept of a membership site. Like what starts going through your mind at that point?
So I had initially, there's a site called Teachers Pay Teachers. It's kind of like the Etsy of the teacher world. And so I had put a few resources up there like a couple years ago, but then I went back and got my master's and had a baby and didn't do anything with it. And I didn't even know I wanted to do a membership. I actually thought I wanted to do a course. And the course that I was waiting to open up wasn't open. And so I was like, well, I don't want to wait. Like I want to take action. Like I've been sitting on this for like a year, serving my teachers on Instagram, but not getting paid for it, not doing anything with it. And I actually had a friend who was about to join Tribe, and she sent me all of the free like trainings and all of that. And I just consumed them. And I'm actually very much a planner, but for some reason watching your trainings and you were like, just go for it, just launch. I was like, okay, I can do this. And I don't know, I must have blacked out or something, but I launched and had nothing prepared. And we welcomed like 212 teachers that first launch. And it was actually frightening because I was like, wait, what am I doing? I don't even like know how to run a membership.
So, okay. So let's rewind. So you had you been building an audience of teachers that you were helping as it relates to math prior to this point? It sounds like it, right?
Yes, I was, because I had other friends who were in doing Teachers Pay Teachers kind of as like their primary business. And for me, that didn't really work for me because I wanted to teach teachers. And so I'd go to create a resource and I was like, but they don't have the knowledge that I need them to have to use this correctly. And so I kind of knew I wanted to build a business, but I wasn't really sure how. So I was just like randomly sharing things on Instagram, and I had started a blog and was very haphazardly like posting blog posts and gathering emails, but not doing anything with them. So I was kind of a hot mess.
Okay, so you had experience with Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's a marketplace. It's a marketplace where teachers sell resources that other teachers can buy and therefore use in their classroom. But those are all one-time transactions, and that's, it's a benefit of the marketplace is that like it's a great place to be able to sell. But at the same time, from a business perspective, it's one-time transactions, and you're hoping people come back and buy from you again. And so you had been dabbling in that, and similarly knowing that, okay, I know I want to kind of build a business around it. I don't know exactly what the business is going to look like. You're building the following. You experiment with the founding member launch for your membership, and you welcome 200 members. Like Brittany, that's a pretty staggering like start to the membership. At that point, like, what's going through your mind in terms of next steps, and what were you feeling in that moment? Talk to me about that.
It was actually like, I was panicked 100%. My husband will tell you, our anniversary was that same week, and we were just driving, and I was like making like $1,000 an hour. And I was like, I've never seen this type of money. And it was, I was overwhelmed. I was like, I just want to refund everybody's money. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do this. It took me a really long time to be able to realize that like, I can serve these members. Like I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have it all figured out. Like they are building it along with me. And so it took me a few months to get out of that overwhelm stage, but it was exciting. It was kind of like proof of concept. I knew that there was a need for it. And so even though I was overwhelmed, even though I was just scared out of my mind, because I brought in more in 5 days than I'd brought in like in the entire year, the year before that. I was like, I've got to figure this out. I've got to push through. At that point, I was kicking myself. I was like, goodness, I should have joined Tribe.
So, okay. So you jumpstart this membership site, you start working with your members, and this was in, you said 2019?
Yeah, July.
Okay. So fast forward, because one of the things I love are updates, and you were sending me updates, and it's just been amazing to watch what's happened as a result of this. So talk us through like what's happened over those 2 years that you've had the membership.
Yeah. So like I said, wasn't really sure what I was doing. I kind of just like didn't launch it again. I just kind of like left the doors open and expected people to come, but I kind of had taken a break from serving everybody outside the membership so I could serve the teachers inside the membership really well, which don't know if that was the smartest decision, but it was the best I could do at the time. And I went through Tribe this past spring, so spring of 2020. And I was like, okay, I need to do another launch. Like, who does a founding member launch and then doesn't really launch again? And so went through Tribe, which was just so good because it allowed me to kind of, I don't know, just like restructure or kind of brought a lot of clarity in how I actually structure and run a membership. And I did like my first real launch, like with my founding members launch, I sent like 3 emails, didn't do a webinar, nothing like that. So this time I was like, okay, I'm going to do a webinar. I'm going to be really intentional. I'm going to send more than 3 emails over these 5 days. And in that 5-day span, I brought in over 800 teachers. And I just, at that point was like, oh my goodness. So again, this is like, we now have 1,200 teachers in our membership. And to think about the number of students that are being impacted by the resources and the videos that me and my team are creating, it's just like, it's far beyond my wildest dreams.
Well, what I love about this, Brittany, is like, it started with you not being crystal clear, like, oh, I want to create a membership business, but just knowing that you wanted to do something. And you had the skill set. You had been a math teacher for years, and you loved helping other teachers teach math. And I love how this has just evolved for you. And so I want to talk about like how your vision for your membership has grown, because I know, as you said in the beginning, when the 200 plus founding members joined, it's like, oh my gosh, this is real. What am I going to do? Hang on, Brittany, hang on. Right. And then now though, like you can sense you're much more calm about the business. You're much more clear about the business. You're much more excited about the business. And I can tell even in your last comment, you're much more connected to the ripple effect that the business is able to have with the teachers that you're able to help, the 1,200 plus teachers in the membership, and therefore the extension of them, which is the students in their classrooms that you're able to help. So talk to me about like how your vision has grown as the membership has evolved over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think my vision is still evolving. Like when I realized that we can bring on a team of teachers, and there are teachers who have now been in the membership since day one, and they are, looking to kind of take part in like a bigger role in the membership. I'm like, in my mind, I see this as, I really truly believe every single 4th and 5th grade math teacher needs this program. Like, one, for their understanding and for their confidence and just for their students. And so in my mind, I think every district should be purchasing it for their teachers. And we're building a curriculum that goes along with it. And I want to elevate some of our members into coaching roles to coach teachers. I mean, the sky is the limit. I can't even tell you, every day I have a new idea, and my integrator's like, okay, like let's write them down, but let's like slow down a bit. But to have that space to be able to dream and have that vision is just, that alone is just such a blessing.
Well, it's super exciting. I'm super proud of you, buddy. And I just want to ask you one final question, which is like, what would you say to the Brittany 2 years ago who has that feeling like, I want to do something. I don't know exactly what. What advice would you give to you back then, now having 2 years under your belt with this?
Yeah, I think you had said something about it, like in the first little snippet of this live, about like, take action. You will gain clarity from that action. I spent so long spinning my wheels, and it's like, if I would have just acted on something, I would have had that clarity a whole lot sooner. So for anybody, or even 2 years ago, me, just jump in and be okay with it being messy initially and taking time to figure it out.
Brittany, you're awesome, buddy. Thank you so much for swinging by. Huge congrats to you. And I love your story, and I appreciate you coming and sharing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. So amazing, right? Like, and the fun part about our community is we hear these stories all the time, but it's like, one of the things that I know to be true is that sometimes, we can discount our own story in and of itself. And one of the things that I just love is people sharing their stories, because it helps all of us see what's possible, which is why I want to bring up our next guest, Nick, because in the same boat, Nick also didn't anticipate, building a membership business per se, but because he took the next right step, things started to happen and evolve for him. So with that, Nick, how are you, bud? Oh, hang on.
Hey,
there you go. Sweet.
How are you, Stu? You all right?
Yeah, I'm great, buddy. Listen, thanks for joining us. Can you just start by just giving people some perspective on who is it that you serve in your market?
Okay, well, this is obviously developed from the initial start of when we first put our position statement together. But basically, we help women think differently about themselves, about their circumstances, and about their lives, giving them the mindset and tools to reimagine their future.
Awesome. Okay. So how did you get into this market? Like, how did you get into serving women?
Well, it's actually something that's involved from my wife's story. She wrote a book a couple of years ago. And when she wrote the end, she said, I don't want it to be the end. How can I carry on helping? Because it was a book about a very sensitive female topic. And she had thousands of women get in touch with her. I should say that my wife is well known in the UK, and so she was a host of a TV show, and so loads of women got in touch with her, and so she wanted to carry on serving them. So we set up a blog, and but it was, whilst it was free to them, it was costing us quite a lot of money. And we were looking at ways that how can we serve more people, and it was hearing things like, you need to charge money because you've got to get money coming in so you can have a bigger platform, have a bigger voice. And then it was looking at ways that we could do that.
You know what's interesting about hearing you say this, Nick, and this is something that I know I faced early in my career, and it's something that I speak to with a lot of entrepreneurs, authors, speakers who have a great message and they want to share it with as many people as possible. But the thought process is often, well, therefore I'll give it away for free. Like I'm gonna share it for free, and that's how I'm gonna help as many people as possible. But it's actually counterintuitive to realize that when you charge for it, you actually have the resources to reach more people than you ever would if you gave it away for free. And I know it's completely counterintuitive, and this is kind of what you're speaking to, which is like, once you start charging, you as the person with the information, or the business owner, so to speak, now has more resources to get what you have in front of a heck of a lot more people, therefore helping a lot more people. And it's counterintuitive, isn't it?
It is, but it's something that my wife really struggled with initially, as to because she just wanted to help everyone and be so nurturing, and this is also some of the lessons that we learned when we did set the membership up, that we were probably too nurturing in our messaging and that. But no, we realize that we can now help so many more people on so many more levels. And we're so excited that we got involved with Tribe and what it's doing so far for us, definitely.
Well, listen, so I want to talk about this. Like, at what point did you realize, like, okay, we want to go down the membership path? Take me to that moment in time in the business where you're like, okay, this is the next step for us. What were you thinking and feeling in that point?
The reality is, people have said to us about a subscription and membership and that, and we were like, oh, I don't know, there's other ways of doing it. And we actually, we set up a marketplace, and I'll come back to that, because that took a pivot. But it was people saying and mentioning your name and saying, you got to go and see this guy. And there's a couple of people that that you know, that you've helped them set their memberships up. And we were just like, I don't know if it's right for us. And then we just went on one of your courses, and we were like that. Yeah, we need to set up a membership right now. You know, it was something I think realistically we would have thought maybe in a year's time. But after learning much more about it and what it can do and how we can do it, and how it can have that ripple effect on your community, we were like, this is definitely the right way. We still weren't sure how, but we had a lot of learnings from you as to ways that we could do it. So yeah, that was pretty much when we decided we had to go down that road.
Okay, this is so fun to go back down memory lane, because I want to take you to that moment when you're like, okay, we're gonna do this. What happens from that point forward? Like, what was your next step at that point?
Well, we Tribe was on in April last year, and obviously with lockdown and everything else going on, so it was a lot easier for me to get to it because it was virtual. So I did that. But at the time, I was like, no, we're not ready for a membership yet. We're not ready. And probably about 2 months after that, I was like, oh, he only opens once a year. I really should have joined. And then I got an email going, we've got a live coming up in August. It's going to be so exciting. And I was like, oh my God. And it was actually on my birthday, and I was like, I'm still going. And we did it, and you opened up, and we were like so happy to have gone and to get involved with it, because then it was like, right, this is happening. We're doing this. We are committed. We went all in, paid for 2 things that you offered, and because again, it's like we just wanted to learn how to do it properly, and you know. As my wife says, she's at the age where she doesn't have time to go through and learn it all and make those tweaks. We want to get it right straight away.
And so, how did you launch? How did you begin the membership? Take me through that.
Well, I think I should say that we probably waited a few more months, because just you say about the more niche you are, you know, you really want to polarize people, and those words were just ringing in our ears, and we were going, oh, it's not niche enough. So that took ages, and I think we also talked ourselves out of it a few times as to when we were going to launch, and so we actually said, right, in November we were going through your course, and it was like, okay, we're going to launch in January with a challenge. And then we'll open it and do a founder member in February. And I think we were just like, as I said, just putting it off. And then in December, my wife left her job, which she'd been doing for 13 years as an anchor on this show. And she announced it on TV. And we were like, right, we've got to do our membership now. And she puts it that we essentially launched a founder member launch. And open up the shop while we were still putting shelves up and painting the shop, because we weren't ready. But again, another thing that you said is you just got to get started. And it was the best thing we did, because we stopped dealing in theory and started dealing in reality, because you can plan everything, but the way that your members respond to what you're giving will give you the biggest feedback and clarity on whether you're going the right way or what you need to tweak and that. And so yeah, but interestingly enough, by the end of that day, we had 1 person sign up on our founder member launch, and it was like, oh, okay. Now, thankfully, it did go right, but on the first day, it wasn't great.
Well, okay, lots to unpack here, which is amazing. I love what you said there about you stopped dealing in theory and started dealing in reality. And that's just a really powerful concept for people just to, you know, think on and to sit on and to sit with, because we can plan, and I'm sure I'd love to get your thoughts on this, but we can plan the best membership possible until and take time and time and time. But the reality of it is our best plans are going to change. Like, I've been helping people long enough, for decades, helping literally tens of thousands of people as it relates to memberships. And I can tell you, the best plans for a membership are still going to change, because once you start serving your members, you gain so much more clarity in how you can best help them. And I love what you were saying, is that when you launched, it was messy. Like, bottom line, it was messy. Things weren't all figured out. As your wife said, I love that analogy. You were still putting the shelves up, so to speak. And I'm wondering if you can kind of speak to that, because in those early days, when you do get it out there, that's the most important thing. And each time it's evolving, it's an opportunity to continue to make the membership better and to continue to serve those members at a higher and higher level. I'm just wondering if you can kind of speak to what that experience was as you were learning how you could best serve your members in those early days.
Do you know what? It was nervous sighted, as my wife said. It's nervous and exciting. And because after the first day, I mean, the reality is, and this is something that we learn, is my wife is known for one thing, not this thing. So, expecting that list, her audience, to just dive in and follow her blind wasn't the case. But we limited the founder member launch to 100 members, and we got 98. And what was amazing was, again, even the questions that we were being asked when people were saying, okay, I'm interested in joining, but can you help me with this, or can you help me understand this more? And going back to the dealing in reality rather than theory, you sit in your office, wherever you are, and you start brainstorming all this stuff, but that's based on what you know, and also a little bit of what you think you know. But there is so much you don't know, and that's how you grow, because then the reality comes in, and you think that their human behavior is going to take them dum, but they don't. They actually go over here, and you're like, whoa, what are you doing over there? You're supposed to go this way. And so it was fascinating to watch and to learn, but so exciting, because what we did, every event, because we hadn't made any content or anything, but we had an idea of what it looked like. So every Thursday night at 7 o'clock, we went live and we did one of our things, and the energy was brilliant, really, really good, and that helped us believe that we'd done the right thing, and knew it wasn't polished by any means, but actually knew it was the right thing, and people were in there for the right reasons. And then what we did, you may recall I said earlier that we were going to do a challenge originally, and look, before we launched our membership, where we actually did that challenge on January the 1st inside our membership. And I think that probably had the most significant result for us, because it really embedded everyone into what we were about and what we were going to be able to deliver for them. And that had a great impact for us and our membership, but a great learning curve for us too as well.
Well, I love it, because I'm sure people listening are thinking like, oh my gosh, like, wait a minute, you sold a membership that didn't have any content in it yet. And I think a big part of that is really managing expectations up front. And your members being clear that they're on this journey with you. And part of the huge benefit to them is a founding member price that will be different than once everything's figured out, so to speak, and you are launching to the general public. So I think there's just so many benefits, and it's a huge win-win relationship. There's a great question here from Bianca. She said, how did you stay encouraged when you had a small number of signups on that first day? So Nick, can you kind of speak to that? Because that's, you take that next step, you have one sign up on day one. What are you thinking and feeling at that point? Like, what's going through your mind?
Well, I think, again, to point out I mean, thankfully my wife doesn't have an ego, but like I said, she's quite famous over here. So from her point, she's like, oh, no one likes me. You know, I mean, literally, she'd given up a high profile job and award-winning show, been there for 13 years, all that stuff, to focus on this membership. And then she questioned, but we sat there at the end of the night, and she said, you know what, this is going to be great in my next book. When I let them know that, and that's what it was, because we know you can get so caught up looking here, but you have to look here. And even though over the last few months since we've been running it, we are learning every day, and we know ultimately within our hearts and soul, this was a right move for us. And Bianca, I know at the beginning it didn't feel it, but I suppose we just believed in everything that we were doing, and we just saw this as a learning. It was never going to be a quick win. It was never going to be, you're going to get thousands of members and it's going to be awesome and you can sail into the sunset. In fact, you would never want 1,000 members, because you'd have made so many mistakes, you'd have let them all down. And like you said, Stu, you know, when you're totally honest as a founder member launch and you're telling them, hey, you know, I'm working this stuff out as I go along and I want you to help me find that. When you're totally honest with them, they're like, yeah, excellent. What can we do? How can we help? And it was that feedback and that relationship that you have, you know, as Andrea calls it with her queens, you know, it still carries on today. There is an ownership from them on your membership too, as well as yourself. I'm getting goosebumps because, I mean, the feedback that we get from our founder members is brilliant. But yeah, you just got to hang in there and believe.
Well, I love it, Nick. And there's two things that I want to share with everybody here. One, you talked about the long game. I think that that's a really important piece to this, which is like knowing that this is just the beginning step. You know, this is not the end. And that initial launch, whether it's a success or not, doesn't define you or, you know, what the business is going to evolve into. It's the beginning step. And I just think that it's part of, you know, that much bigger plan, which is really, really important. You talked about the long game. Second thing, though, that you said there, which reminds me of a quote that was shared to me by my good friend, Susan Garrett. And it's a quote from Nelson Mandela. And Nelson said, you either win or you learn. And I love that, because this is kind of what you're echoing here. It's like, you know, I love the perspective your wife had, which was, listen, this is going to be awesome for the book because there's going to be a great lesson that's going to come from that. So I'm going to win in that respect. And I'm going to learn from this process, right? That we, you know, we continuously evolve. And some of us, like, some people are going to experience, you know, success right out of the gates. Like we just heard from, you know, Brittany, who with her founding member launch, welcomed 200 members, like right out of the gate. She was shocked and surprised by like that does happen. That will happen. Other times it's going to be a process of figuring stuff out. And, you know, on day one, it might be one member and you're going, okay, like something's not landing. We got to figure this out. But by the end of that founding member launch, which is amazing, you would welcome 98 people. And the next time around, you're going to experience more success because of the work that you've been doing with those founding members and really understanding them, what they're challenged with at an intimate level, which is only going to enhance your communications moving forward. So I just love it all the way across the board, Nick. As we look to kind of wrap up the segment, what thoughts would you have for somebody who is where you were, who was thinking about a membership site, and maybe weeks have gone by, months have gone by, perhaps somebody's watching, even years have gone by where they've had this thought of starting a membership? What would you say to them?
I think if you it's a lifestyle decision, quite honestly. So like you say, you know, you do membership so you can help people like us work less and have a reoccurring revenue. And that is exactly what we're all about. I mean, we're already thinking next 2-3 memberships that we can do, because it really is, you know, you get your laptop, you can work from anywhere, you can do your lives from anywhere. And I think if you want a business that works for you, do it. But start, because you will never have all the answers until you start. And
I love it, buddy. Well, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's it. You just need to start.
Well, thank you so much. I forgot to ask Brittany earlier, and so we'll make sure we post Brittany's link to her website. But I want to give you a chance. Where can people go to find out more about you and your wife and the membership you've created?
Perfect. Thank you. It's thisgirlisonfire.com.
Awesome. Now I just have the song running through my head. That's amazing. All right, Nick. Well, thank you so much for joining, buddy. I appreciate you.
Amazing. Thank you, Stu. Take care.
Cheers. So much fun, right? Like when you hear the stories of real people who just took that next right step, and then seeing what it begins to lead to is what just is so much fun. And this is probably the big message that I want to share with you today is never underestimate what is possible. And you may not be crystal clear about, what you want to create. You may not be crystal clear about what that might look like in terms of the membership, in terms of the experience, in terms of what you share inside your membership. But the worst thing that you can do is just sit and think and think and think and think and think and never do anything. Because from my experience, and I've been doing this for a long time, and what I can tell you is that you will gain way more clarity and a heck of a lot more momentum by getting into action. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to create all the things like tomorrow and have it launched by the end of the week. No. But it does mean that you are intentionally taking the next step to making that happen. And so I want to encourage you, if you want to gain more clarity about what those next steps might be, come and join us on April 22nd. Every year we host a free workshop. And this is where we unpack, like, how do you begin thinking about the type of membership site that you want to create for your market? And is your market a good fit for a membership site? We'll answer those questions. Plus, we'll talk about content and what you should provide inside. We'll talk about how do you attract the audience for your membership, and a whole lot more. This is a free workshop. It happens one time a year. It's coming up April 22nd. And so what I want to encourage you to do is go to tribeworkshop.com. You can sign up absolutely free and mark your calendar, April 22nd. I will be sharing the content live, so you make sure you want to come and join us. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be fun. And what I can tell you is that last year we had more people launch their memberships during the free workshop than we've ever had before. And it was incredibly exciting to watch what happens as business owners of all kinds, some who own brick and mortar businesses, others who are like Nick's wife, who have written a book or an author, speaker, others who, have followings, and others who didn't have a following whatsoever and a teeny tiny audience, but they knew they wanted to do something. And they joined us during the free workshop. They took action on what we were sharing and they got results. That's possible for you. I want to encourage you to come and join us. It all starts April 22nd. It's one of my most exciting, fun parts about what we get to do in our business, and I can't wait to see you there. So make sure you come and join us at tribeworkshop.com. So with that, gang, thank you so much for joining me. We'll be back. We got more coming down the pipeline. But most importantly, what I want to encourage you from today is to get clear on that next right step and begin taking intentional action. In the words of Nelson Mandela, as I said, you either win or you learn, but in both cases, they're going to move you forward. All right, you're awesome. Make it a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.